Hello, namaste, and welcome to my channel once again. Today I am here with another story from Magic of Words, grade 11. The name of the story is Fear, and fear is a psychological story in nature. And this story is taken from Pueblo, Mexico. And in this story, I have included some of the important questions and answers in the form of points. That's why my students will better understand and remember the things to write in your examination. So, to talk about this story talks about a person uh, who loses his intelligence and common sense in the fearful condition and nervousness. So this is about the people or the person or the man who lose their intelligence and common sense when they are in a panicking situation or when they are in a situation which makes them nervous. So there is a question from this story, and this is frequently asked in your examination. That is, what are the things which made Armando think that someone was going to rob him? This question is frequently asked. So, to write these answers, you can remember these points so that you will better write a good answer. So, what are the things which made Armando Gonzalez, the fearful man, think that he was going to be robbed? The first and the foremost thing is when he went to the bank to withdraw a handsome money, 50,000 pesos, of his 20 years of savings. He went to the bank, and when he was there in the bank teller, there was a woman, and she was just counting the money in a loud voice that everybody in the bank would listen to how much money Armando was taking. So that was making him, irritable. He was irritated by that behavior because he wanted the woman not to speak so loud, speak in a moderate voice that he could hear nearby. This is the first thing Armando Gonzalez uh, thought, that he was going to be robbed, because everybody in the bank would listen to him and they will follow him after when he goes out of the bank, and he thought he's going to be robbed. And another point is he was wearing his hat backward in an unusual position. Generally, the people, the aged people, or who are adult, don't wear the hats backward. Okay, but if the teenage people wear the hat backward, nobody would notice. But if a aged man wears the hat backward, everybody would notice that, obviously. So he did not know that he had put his hat backward. So people were looking at him because he was wearing his hat backward. But he did not realize that, so he thought everybody is just looking at me, and they are just making some kind of plan to rob me. This is another point. And next point is the heavy man who looked him twice in the bank. Okay, there was a heavy man standing next to him in the bank. Okay, and so he was looking Armando Gonzalez. He even gave a double look, and the same heavy man was there in the same bus on which Armando was going back to his home. So these two incidents also made Armando think that he was going to be robbed. And there were people in the bank and bus. Generally, they all looked him twice or maybe more than that. So everybody were, he was the attention of everyone. So this made him think that something is wrong. I am going to be robbed. So this is another point that made him think so. And another point, the last but not the least, is three teenage boys. They were teenagers. Actually, they were traveling in the bus for the football tournament, but they were catching the wrong bus, so they wanted to get off the bus. So they asked some information with the heavy man, but Armando Gonzalez was noticing that heavy man in the bank, and he was also in the bus. And those three teenagers asked him few questions, and he thought, yes, these are the assistants of this heavy man, and they are making a plan to rob me, and these three boys are going to rob me. And unfortunately, what happened when he got off the bus, somewhere in between, the three boys also got off the bus in the same place. So that made him, he was surely going to be robbed. That was his thought. Okay. These are the points you can include while answering what are the things which made Armando think that someone was going to rob him. Okay. So another question that might be asked in your in your exam is, why was Armando afraid of the heavy man in the bus? The heavy man was not only in the bus, he was also in the bank. The same heavy man who was looking him two times in the bank, and consequently, unfortunately, the same heavy man was in the same bus. So Armando was 100% sure that this heavy man has something wrong, and he has some negative intention upon me. He is going to rob me. And so, what made him think that the heavy man in the bus was going to rob him? Because the first thing is, the heavy man looked him two times in the bank, who was standing next to him. And the second thing is, the three teenagers who followed him, who followed Armando when he got off the bus, the same three teenagers were asking him some questions with the heavy man. They were talking with the heavy man, and they followed him when he got off the bus. And he mistook those boys as the assistants of the heavy man. They are the group of looters, okay? And they might be the gangsters, and these three boys are helping him. This is what he thought. That is why Armando Gonzalez was afraid of the heavy man in the bus, because he thought this heavy man, through the help of these three teenagers, is going to rob me and snatch out my 50,000 pesos. That made him sweat. Okay, this is why he was afraid of the heavy man. Similarly, another important question that might be asked in your exam is its possible question, that is, sketch the character of Armando. While describing the characters, you are supposed to write his attitude, his behaviors, his lifestyles, his background, and his thoughts. Okay, so in this story, Armando Gonzalez is the main character. He is the protagonist of this story, and by studying this story, what we got from the story about Armando Gonzalez is what you are supposed to write in the character sketch. So sketching the character means writing about his characters, behaviors. Okay, so what is his character? So while writing this answer, you can include these points I have prepared here in my slide. So generally, from the beginning, he was very honest, hardworking, and he was uneducated in the sense that he did not know that money is money and there is not any other forms of money. He even thought that check is not money. Okay, so that kind of circumstances makes us think that he is not educated. So you can include this point. He was honest, hardworking, uneducated, and he was a fearful man. He was skeptical. He doubted unnecessarily. So these are the characters of him. And he worked in a shoe shop to feed his nine members in his family. And there were nine members in his family, and he was also with his mother-in-law. And he wasn't familiar with different forms of money I mentioned already. He thought money means only cash. And he was skeptical man. He was a man of doubt. For example, when he was in the bank, he doubted unnecessarily. There were people looking at him, and he did not know that his head was backward, but they were looking at him. He thought, he doubted, yes, they are just watching me, staring at me, because they are making some plans against me, maybe to snatch out my money, to rob my money, to loot my money. So this is what he thought. That's why this character of him makes him the man of doubt, is skeptical. These are some of the points you can mention in your answer. Okay, though you have to write the answer in a paragraph form. And another question that might be asked is, why were the people looking at Armando in the bank and in the bus? Okay, so as you might have got the answer already, I have mentioned it two times before already. So generally, the only one reason why people were looking at him, if you think from outside of the main character's brain or the mind or the thought, everybody were looking at him because he was wearing his hat backward. So this is another thing that the main character did not know, that he was in the nervousness, he was putting his head backward. He did not realize that. Only at the last of this story he realized, when the boy said that they were not following him to rob him, rather they were just following him to help him, because he was just running away, because he was 100% sure that these three boys are going to catch me up and they are going to rob my money. So he ran, and the boys thought, oh man, this man has some kind of problem, let's go and help him. They followed him. He just realized that, and he was okay with his doubts and the fear at last, so he put his head forward, well, in the last of this story. But in the bank, he was putting his head backward, everybody were looking at him, and that situation made him very nervous. Okay, and then he thought that they were looking for his handsome sum of money, 50,000 pesos. But the reality was different. Okay, they were staring at him because, just because he had put his head backward in an unusual position. This is the point you can these are few points you can include in your answer while writing the answer of why were the people looking at Armando in the bank and in the bus. And why were people looking him in the bus? This is there is the same reason. In the bus also he had his head backward, so everybody were looking him. Okay, possibly two times. So thank you so much. These are some of the important questions I have included from the fear, the story fear. I hope it will be helpful for you. Thank you so much. Subscribe my channel for more videos. I will be uploading some of the important question answers for exam. Is I will be presenting my presentation being exam oriented, because we don't have much. You don't have much time, because of after COVID-19 pandemic. You don't have much time to study. So I'm just trying to include some of the most important informations in the points. That's why you can include them and elaborate them in your exam. Okay, so this presentation is only meant for that. My motto is that to make you remember the important points, and to include them and calculate them and to elaborate them, and making a beautiful answer in your exam. Okay, thank you so much. Have a good day.